If it's an open convention, then we're going to have to be clear, open, and transparent on what the rules say and how they're administered, and it will be very clear, and there'll be cameras at every step of the way. So there'll be no mystery.
The chairman of the Republican National Committee, Reince Preibus, trying to dispel fears of an establishment-engineered takeover this July at the GOP convention in Cleveland. Meantime, as our parent website Newsmax.com notes, there's a whole lot of discussion not only about the presidency, but who might one day succeed Reince Preibus as the RNC chairman. Plenty to discuss, and let's do so now with the chairman of the Michigan Republican Party, Ronna Romney McDaniel. Ronna, thanks very much for your time tonight on Newsmax Prime.
Thanks for having me. Wonderful to be here.
Now, we should note for the record, your name, Ronna Romney McDaniel. So Mitt is your uncle. And I'm just kind of wondering about family ties, the speech he gave a while back in Salt Lake City. How do you have to handle that as chairman of a state party? Did you agree with your uncle? Are you staying out of the dispute? What's your take on that?
I'm so proud of my uncle. I wish he were president right now, but like any family, we have differences of opinion on who we want to be president right now. I have an aunt in Pinckney, Michigan, who's for Trump. I have an uncle for Rubio, or who was for Rubio. My daughter likes Kasich. My son likes Cruz. We're a house divided, and my job as chair of the Michigan Republican Party is to be Switzerland and bring everybody together so that we can unite around our nominee and win the White House.
Absolutely, positively neutral publicly, and that's admirable and understandable in your important role there in Michigan. I'm curious, as you do your work there in Lansing, obviously that involves more than friendly discussions with what goes on in Washington. Reince and the job he has done as RNC chairman, how would you evaluate that to this point?
I think Reince has revolutionized the Republican Party. He has put together a field program that we have never seen before. That's why we took the Senate in 2014. We won governorships in states that we've never seen or expected to win governorships. His focus on data collection, he has put us in a place in 2016 where we can win the White House because of the infrastructure that he has so effectively built.
And yet there are some concerns, Ronna, and perhaps you've heard them, reports in the media that should Donald Trump become the party nominee, Chairman Preibus will not allow the presidential nominee access to personnel, in other words, calling the shots. Can you comment on the veracity of those reports? How did they strike you when you heard those reports from Washington?
The only report I've heard from Reince is that each of the candidates, in order to have access to the data, had to sign a pledge that they would support the eventual nominee. And I think they all have signed that pledge, and he's going to hold them to that. And I think that makes a lot of sense. This is the Republican Party. These gentlemen are running in a very robust, contested race. But in the end, it's going to take their leadership to bring our party together, because we know that we cannot afford Hillary Clinton in the White House. We know what that will mean for our country. And so in the end, they're going to have to help lead our party and unite us and bring us all together.
Well, as I understand it, there were some off-the-record accounts to journalists saying that should Mr. Trump get the nomination, even then Chairman Preibus would maintain control of personnel and decisions within the RNC as something that would change from what we've seen in the past in terms of the coordination of the RNC with the nominee of the party. But you've heard no talk, no rumblings of that, eh, Ronna?
No, and even when Chairman Preibus was in Michigan for the debate most recently, he committed to our delegates and our audience of our debate that he's going to support our nominee, that the RNC is going to support our nominee, whether it's Trump, Kasich, or Cruz. And I believe him, and he has certainly shown that in every interview I've seen through this process.
Well, there is talk, and usually this is the case as election cycles come and go. Reince is expected to step down in January of 2017. Who do you think the party will look to as the next leader? And Your name's being floated. Are you interested in moving from the Michigan Republican Party to the Republican National Committee as its chairman?
My focus right now is to turn Michigan red for the first time since 1988. We haven't won the presidency through Michigan, and I want to change that trend. I expect that we are going to win the White House, which means that our next president will have a lot of input into who our next chair should be. And I'm excited to work with whomever that person may be.
Well, let me get in closing. We've got about a minute left. I'm interested in your perspective from Lansing about some more feverish speculation. It involves a congressman from next door who happens to be Speaker of the House. When Karl Rove called for a, quote, fresh face last weekend, suddenly all the tongues got to wagging on the banks of the Potomac. And today, Politico runs a story saying, oh, Paul Ryan would be the guy if the convention is contested. Your take on Speaker Ryan and that possibility. 40 seconds left, Ronna.
Speaker Ryan is doing a great job as the speaker. He has said he is not interested in running for president. I take him at his word. I know him pretty well. And Chairman Preibus just said this weekend that he expects our nominee to be one of the three gentlemen currently running for president: Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, or John Kasich.
Ronna Romney McDaniel, chairman of the Michigan Republican Party. Madam Chairman, we appreciate your insights and analysis as we talked about a couple of races, perhaps, one for the presidency and eventually one for the chairmanship of the Republican National Committee. Thanks so much. Well, you heard what Ronna had to say. Agree or disagree? Why don't you send your comments to me at newsmaxtv.com/comments or via Twitter, where our handle is @Newsmax Prime.